identified in his initial report. But it seems to me that those two things don't necessarily go together. And I don't think our legal system is famous for fast and fair. In fact, our legal system, criminal courts and other kinds of litigation, in the name of due process, drags on forever, and here lives are at stake. So I'm really concerned about that. I'm not sure how one can address this in the face of kind of public support for the ideas of fast and fair. So that's a question of strategy, I guess. The other is a question of strategy too. Everybody, I think, who's concerned about fairness in the system is worried about the safe country question, and the fact that some of the most problematic decisions are likely to be people from Mexico or Guatemala or somewhere, and they have no recourse to appeal. And this seems to me to be fundamentally at odds with the principle of due process. Now, I don't know, what opportunities are going to be to make submissions, but I'm interested in hearing either of you, both of you, comment on how to approach this if we were making a kind of submission to the immigration minister, how do we try to get these things on the table as serious points that really need to be addressed?
Well, I completely agree with you with respect to fast and fair. I think that there are trade-offs with respect to fast and fair. Peter Schaller has suggested that 60 days is too quick, but 120 days would be reasonable. Fewer people have been talking about this 8-day issue. In my view, that's actually more serious than the 60-day issue. But I suspect that the government's actually going to find it difficult to make good on this 60-day target. I suspect that there's going to be requests for various types of adjournments, and I would expect that that's actually going to end up taking up a lot of the IRB's time. If you look at what's happened in civil litigation, trying to come up with fast and fair processes where we have tried hard deadlines, it's actually not worked, and it's actually produced more work where the court says lawyers seek adjournment. So I would expect to see something similar to that. My recommendation with respect to strategy would be to make that argument to the government, to say there are two concerns here. One is simply fairness. These issues are extremely weighty. People's lives are at stake. Is it really such a big deal if we're talking about 60 days versus 120 days? Can't we make it 120? I think you can push that, and then I think you can push the practical argument. You can't really make this work. With respect to due process, I think that there's a section 15 on equality problem with respect to the safe source country designations. I think it involves discrimination on the basis of nationality, on the basis of national origin, and I think you can try to make that argument. I also frankly think that the government, if it goes with this option, is going to come to regret it. They're going to come to regret it because they're going to be put in the position of having to tell our economic partners that they're not safe or risk the credibility of that designation. I wouldn't want to have to be the minister making a decision as to whether or not Mexico is safe. I think that's just too politically challenging. I mean, I think he had no choice but to designate Mexico as safe for political reasons. And I think as soon as he does so, you'll see what you saw. It was in Le Devoir today, one of the French newspapers today, the story about the woman who was deported to Mexico to her death. I just think that strategically, if we can show that these policies are not necessarily in the interest of the government, I think that's one way to go.
Just two quick follow-up points. Not even follow-up points, but the lack of consultation is one concern, which I think would have been, fast and fair is a little bit produced, is the second point, in the sense that so many of the IRB members whose contracts ended were not replaced. So you produce that backlog, and then of course you can make the case for fast and fair because everything is going so slowly because the capacity doesn't exist. So I think it's a little bit, technically a little bit disingenuous.